Hey, what's up, everybody? Cletus T. Judd back with another edition of My Road to Recovery, Lawrence County's My Road to Recovery. And I don't have my co-host sitting here with me. She's moved over a couple of feet. And I have really so been looking forward to being able to do this just one-on-one with me and Kathy. Her story is insane. And I'm going to let her tell a lot of this story, but I have a nickname for her that I told my wife the other day, and I've never shared this with her, and I'm going to tell it to her now, and I hope you take it as a compliment. But Amanda and I were sitting on the couch, and I said, well, I wonder what Mike and Elvis is doing. And she said,
Elvis.
well, who the hell's Elvis? And I said, Kathy Ross. And she said, why in the world do you call her Elvis? And I said, because it seems like that's when she's the happiest, is when she's doing stuff for people. And I'd always heard that Elvis, some friends of his had told me at one point that Elvis was never happy unless he was doing great things for other people. And so that's hence the name Elvis you get stuck with from your friend over here. But I have met a lot of people in my journey along the way, in recovery, out of recovery, in addiction, out of addiction. I've never really met anybody quite like this young lady right here. She's become a great friend. Her husband, Mike, back there has become a great friend. Sisters, Don and Jamie and everybody have become great friends. But I'm going to tell you, it wasn't always like this.
No.
And I told her I was going to call this segment from prom queen to prison, because that's basically, that's basically what this young lady went through. And I asked her, and sitting in the office a couple of days ago, or last week sometime before I went on the road, I said, what the hell happened? Because you're nothing like, you know, and maybe a lot of us aren't nothing like the typical addict. You know, you told me you had no trauma, you know, you abused as a kid, you know, you got a great, you know, life was good. And then just, and I'm going to kind of turn it over to you a little bit and let you just kind of tell the story and what led to your addiction, how bad it did get, because it got really bad.
It did.
You know, there may not have been a plethora of different types of substances, but boy, she beat the hell out of one of them.
Oh, gosh.
And I'll let her tell you about it. But you're talking about a young lady that, you know, just kind of got off the beaten path along the way, and it shows you the power of the prescription.
Oh, God, it is.
Yeah. So hey, that's my co-host and the owner and founder, along with her hubs, Mike back there, Kathy Ross. So, Kathy, tell us a little bit about this whole ordeal.
It's a position you never think that you'll end up in life. It's a location that you would not place on your worst enemy. You're just your atypical person. I graduated high school, married my high school sweetheart, was prom queen my senior year of high school. Just had your atypical life that you have, you know, and nothing was supposed to go bad. Got a great job out of high school working for American Electric Power straight out of school, and decided that Mike and I were going to get married and buy a house, and we're married for a couple of years and we're going to have a kid. So we planned the pregnancy, you know, just not the typical things that happened in my family. I was one of the first to like graduate high school, go to college, do those things. And so my parents had a lot of expectation. Just because we were good kids and never got in trouble, just kind of done what you were supposed to, you know. And I don't start using drugs until, gosh, Austin's older. I mean, I have had Austin, and he's probably 5 or 6 years old. And I worked at AEP for years, and they went out of business in town, and they decided they're going to open this big call center in Hurricane, West Virginia, which is like an hour one way. And I decided I'm not going to make that trip. You know, I'm going to get a job here, and to do that, I'm going back to school to be a nurse. Not because I wanted to be a nurse or because I liked people necessarily, but it made good money, and it was something that people did. It was a good thing.
Felt like the right thing to do.
That's just what you do. So I did. Went to nursing school, graduated, and was a pretty good nurse, and I loved it. And I always worked 2 and 3 jobs. Very fortunate, didn't have to. Mike always had a pretty good job, but we liked to do things like vacation. We liked toys, you know, cars and things. And so I started having some female problems, and I meet a doctor friend, and they said, listen, you need to probably have like hysterectomy. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do all that. Like, I'm just getting out of school. Like, I'm trying to build a name. I want a career.
Yeah.
And they said, let me write you a prescription for Loratab. Take them when you need them. and then you'll be fine. In a couple months, you're still going to have this procedure. You know, this is just going to buy a little time.
Right.
And at this time, I'm probably 26 years old, 27. I've only been drunk maybe 2 or 3 times in my entire life.
Probably never smoked pot in your life.
Never in my life, and I've never smoked cigarettes, ever. Just not my thing.
Right,
I didn't party. I wasn't that party girl. Nothing like that. And that doctor wrote me that prescription. It's the first time I ever recall being written a prescription. Even when I gave birth to my son, I don't remember having medication.
Right.
And I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Took 2 of them. I could work a 10-hour shift. I took 4 of them, and I could do your job, my job, and his job, and do it pretty good.
Did you know immediately?
No, actually, I didn't, and this is how naive I was. I thought an addict was a crackhead that lived under a bridge. I didn't. I mean, I honestly did not even fathom what that was in my life. Never thought that was anybody I ever knew. Looking back now, it was a total, I mean, my life was a mess, obviously, but I didn't think I had an issue with it because I became smarter. I was sharper. I could do more. I was on point, I thought.
Yeah.
And so after a little bit of time having this medication, and at this time, you're talking about like 2007, 2008, there's not a big talk at this time. You can walk in a doctor's office and they're giving away Oxycontin.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, you got
just line
prescriptions.
up at the door.
They're just like, this is the best thing ever. It's not this big deal. So really, you know, nobody's thinking it's a thing. And then I think, well, I'm going to do that doctor a favor. I'm just going to go ahead and write my own prescription. She's busy. She'd write it for me. She's done it for me twice before. Let me just go ahead and do that.
And here we go.
And this is it. This is the beginning of the end. I remember sitting in my vehicle at one point saying to myself, if I don't get greedy and I just call in what I need, I'll be okay. I can recall, I know what car I was sitting in. I know
You were
the
rationalizing
day.
at that point.
Totally. And that's what I did. I remember the first time I ever woke up sick on a Sunday. And that was dope sick. Didn't even know what that was, but
Never even heard of that.
No, didn't know what it was. I thought I had the flu.
Yeah.
I woke up there. Our doctor's office was closed on a Friday and a Monday. It was a long weekend, and I remember waking up on a Sunday because I hadn't had a pill in like 2 or 3 days. Sick. Couldn't my legs hurt? I thought I could not move. It was horrid, and I thought, my God, what is wrong with me? By Monday, went back to work Tuesday, and then I'm all better. I'll never go through that again. I guarantee that, you know. And you don't realize how fast your addiction progresses. You don't realize how you can manipulate yourself and lie. I did what I called addict math. So I would phone in prescription pills for myself in a variety of names, obviously very illegal.
This is when it's becoming a problem.
It's becoming a problem, and I don't even know it. But at the time, you got Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia. This was like a compilation of something horrible because you could call in prescriptions in different states. Thank God they've changed everything. There's Casper and Oars, but now, at that time there wasn't. And I don't know how. I'd never had a speeding ticket in my life, and I would commit 4 felonies every day. And honestly, did not realize what I was doing. I'm not stupid, but I really did not think of interstate trafficking. I did not think that I was forging prescriptions, putting a doctor's licensure on the line. Like, I honestly did not. And I would, obviously you get to the point where tolerance happens, you're using more. I'm taking about 80 Lortab 10s every day.
She told me that sitting in the office the other day, and I said, how many were you doing today? And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, maybe 5, 10. A dentist will give you one every 6 hours, and she breaks out 80 a day, and I about fell off the couch.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, he ain't dead.
I don't know how that, and it wasn't like one day, and I don't say that like I'm some type of like thug and gangster or anything. It was just, and I didn't realize it until like I was calling these prescriptions, and there would be a bottle of 180, and like in 2 and 3 days, gone. I'm like, well, what happened to all those? Oh my God, I must have spilled them. I must have, never in my mind did I think I was ingesting that, but I was.
How many at a time, do you remember?
10.
God,
and it'd be a handful at a time because, again, if you think of your addict math, and again, this I'm not trying to rationalize this or glorify it in any way, shape, or form, but an Oxy 80, 80 milligrams, a Lortab 10. So if you want to get to the 80 milligrams of one, then you better take that many. So my thought process is, well, hell, I need to get off these Lortabs and get to the Oxycontin. I mean, that's just one pill. You know, like I wouldn't be so many.
Yeah, it wouldn't have 10 in your
Exactly.
hand.
I wouldn't have to carry around that big bottle. I mean, what the heck am I doing? But as it progresses, obviously, you know, you get found out. And my family had no idea. People still to this day can't believe that Mike didn't know. I never had any indications. I was your worst kind of addict. I was functioning.
Yeah.
So I was at work, the first person in the morning and the last person to leave. I worked 7 days a week, every day. I didn't miss a day because I couldn't. If I missed a day, then I couldn't call in a prescription. And well, if somebody called and this happened and that happened, and so it just become it was a slippery slope that I couldn't get
break
out
the
of.
cycle.
Could not stop,
Yeah.
and never fathomed stopping until there was a series of events that happened, and the doctor became known that I was calling his prescriptions in. Obviously, there was an investigation, and there were some people who wanted to talk to me.
Yep, you told me
Yeah.
you got the knock on the
Yeah,
door.
I did,
And you're
and
thinking, now why are these people
I said,
here?
I didn't. Well, Mike's in the garage working, and he's like, I'm in the house. He's like, hey, Kat, there's some cops out here who want to talk to you. I was like, to me? None damn good and well. I took off from work that morning because I watched them walk in the front door. I didn't know. I guess I
You
thought
went
I
out
was-
the back door.
I did. Walked right out the back door, got
Yeah.
my car, and went home.
Knew
And-
why they were there?
Oh, I knew. As soon as I knew, I was like, okay, gig's up. And I remember talking to this guy, and he was an investigator. And I come back in the house, and Mike's like, "What in the hell is going on?"
I had no idea.
And I said, "Mike, I don't know, but I'm not going back to work that doctor's office. I don't know what's
There's something
happening.
going
And
on
something,
down
and
there.
then people,
Yeah.
I don't know."
Yeah.
And he had no reason to believe anything but what I was telling him. No one in my family did, and I kind of went back and forth for a while, knowing they were investigating me, but really didn't pay much attention to it. I put myself in treatment just because that's what people do to get
Yeah.
out of trouble.
Yeah.
They came to the treatment facility and arrested me in the middle of a group, guns drawn, because
Oh,
I didn't
dear
go
God.
like I should to the court dates and things I should have. I thought, again, I'm special, unique, and different. Don't have to do it like they do because I'm
Yeah.
not one of those.
I'm not one of those.
I'm not one of those
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I'm definitely not until they lay an indictment in front of you and tell you that they could sentence you to 26 years in prison.
When you saw that indictment like that, what life flashed before your eyes?
I couldn't even think it was real for a long time. And for a long time, I thought, well, I'll just get a deal. Everybody gets deals. I just watch TV. And then coming to terms with my family, I was never honest with them until I went to prison. Bless their hearts. They really are the people in this story that were hurt the most. They did not ask for any of this, but yet had to bear witness to all of it. They had to watch it from, and my son is like 6 and 7 years old. He's 8 years old when I go to prison. And so is my niece. And then I destroy and ravish a family, ripped it in two, caused chaos and confusion. My husband's family didn't speak to him. My mom and them didn't speak to my husband's family. Everybody was ready to kill each other, and it's because me,
Right.
a whirlwind. And the more chaos it was like smoke and mirrors. If I get everybody mad at each other, then they're not asking questions.
Yeah, they'll forget about me over here.
Exactly. It took probably 15 years to fix a family.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2000. I went to prison in 2009. I got out of prison in 2012. 12, 13 is when I got out of
Say
prison.
3 years.
Almost three and a half.
Real quick, I want to see if I can take you back just a tad. The day you left
Mm-hmm.
for prison,
Yes.
I had
that
a
was
friend of
horrible.
mine that played basketball at Marshall and was the all-time leading scorer at Marshall. And I used to think to myself, man, how did he feel in the back of that cop car when he had the
Mhm.
world, he had,
Mhm.
basketball, all things that went with the athletics, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it was over.
Done.
Done,
Mhm.
basically done. It's sitting in that cop car.
Mhm.
What were you feeling when you were on your way to prison? I mean,
It was very surreal, and I'll tell you, this is just what a crappy human being I become. Is I really didn't care about anything or anyone. My sister, the day I get sentenced to 6.5 years in prison, my sister finds out she's pregnant. She's tried for years to get pregnant with this child, and it's her anniversary. And the gift that I gave her was the fact of me calling collect 17 times, telling them, like, I guess you guys ain't gonna do nothing because I'm going to prison. Like, are you guys calling somebody? You guys get me another lawyer?
pretty much putting all the guilt on them.
Oh, yeah, like
Yeah.
totally not thinking. And then she has to tell me, like, she'd been trying for years to get pregnant, and then she's pregnant with our Anna. And I was just later, and when I go to prison and I go to treatment and I sit back and reflect on that, I mean, that was like a milestone for me. And that's when I knew, like, I was a horrible human being because I cared nothing more than getting high again and thinking about how I could
Still
get
at
out.
that
Still at
time?
that time. It
Oh,
took me,
wow.
I was in prison a good 6 months, and then I just woke up one day on the top bunk, and they have it set up there in cottages, and I was in the Shirleys. I wake up on the top bunk. There's 300 women that sleep in this area. It's like a big gymnasium, like at a school. There's 300 women. You don't know who are men, who are women, because sometimes they all look the same. I thought it was co-ed. Again, I grew up in a holler. I went to Sims Valley. Like there was not a big ethnical background there. I did not know a lot
Yeah.
about anything. I learned a lot very
Oh, I
quickly.
can imagine.
And it was the scariest time of my life. It was necessary. A judge, his name was Scott Bowling, sentenced me to every day of my sentence, and he told me that I was pretty much a menace to society and that it's a wonder I didn't kill people. And as a mother and a college graduate, I knew better. And that I should have done better. They thought that I was like running a pill mill, like I was Jimmy
Right.
Hoffa's granddaughter,
Right.
and that I was not really doing the drugs that I was calling in. And I promise you, I done every one of them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't selling
Wasn't about to
them.
share them with
Hell
nobody.
no, I wasn't. I
Yeah.
was like, because I was going to be sick. But
Yeah.
in prison, I learned a lot about who I was. I learned a lot about my thought processes and what landed me in that situation. And I'd reserved the right that I was probably going to do every day the 6.5 years. Anna would have been in first grade when I graduated.
Yeah.
Austin would have been ready to graduate high school. And I just knew that that was what was going to be
That's my
because
life.
that's my life. And every day I did that. While I was in there, I decided I'm going to go to treatment. I have to. Even if nobody affords me treatment, I need to go.
Yeah.
I sat for a long time and cried because, oh my God, everybody gets treatment. The judges sent everybody to
And now here
treatment
I am
but
sitting
me.
in prison
Here
for
I'm
9
in
years.
prison. Like I shouldn't be sitting here. But then I did not ask the prosecutor and the judge to get up that day and do their job. They did not ask me to break a law. They did not ask me to do the things I did. I made them do what they were elected in the positions they were in. That took a long time to get there with that. It was hard. I was a better mother, daughter, and human being behind prison walls. I was a better mother to my son than I had been in a couple of years because I would be there physically, but mentally and emotionally, I was not there for anything.
Right. Physically there.
Physically, but that was
Yeah.
tapped. I was nodding
gotcha.
out or on, trying to do whatever I
Yeah.
needed to get high and lie, cheat, steal. My husband, we'd been married at that time for years. I mean, we've married 26 years this year. And why he stayed married to me, I'll never know. Because I probably left him for $20 and a kid. He was used to a 2-income family, taking care of things, and it gave no measure. I left him with a child, and you need to go ahead and take care of that because,
Right.
that's what every mother does, right? When women say that I was a good mom and they're an addict, that's an oxymoron. That's
Yeah.
impossible.
You can't be.
You
Oh, I
cannot
agree
be
100%.
because if you
can't
tell
be a great
me,
dad and be high.
well, if
Yeah.
you tell me you care more about your kid and you did that dope, you're lying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or you'd have
100%.
stopped.
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree with
hate
you.
saying that to them, but I try to be honest with them.
Well,
and,
sure.
and
Absolutely.
kind of go through prison and I right away I'm like, I am not breaking any rules. Okay, I will walk on the concrete all the way to the CFS to eat. I'm not going to do anything I shouldn't because I need to get home to my family. I remember when Austin, my son, and my niece came to see me for the first time in prison. I've got pictures, and we never discussed drugs with them or the family. And we left it up to an 8-year-old's imagination as to why they got to visit
Right.
me in prison. They thought it was because I took an old woman's medicine and she died.
That's what you told me.
And
yeah.
that took my breath. So I have to then explain to them that that's not what happened and that exactly what I did. And they grow up for the next almost 4 years coming and
Without a
visiting me
mama.
and they come to visit me every month. My family religiously come to see me. Mike and my dad would bring the kids once a month, and then my mom and my sister would bring them another time a month. The kids could come with everybody, but an adult can only come see me once. And they seen a lot of change take place. They seen me become a totally different person and take accountability for what I was doing and learn the depths of my addiction and my disease and the fact that it's just in remission and it's not like that switch. It just
Right.
don't get
Oh,
flipped
yeah.
on or off.
Always be there.
Yeah, and I remember one day I get told that Mike and my dad go see some folks and they're like, Kathy, you're going to get a judicial release. And I'm like, what do you mean? Don't play with me. Like, I've already reserved the right. I'm
Yeah.
going to be here.
Yeah.
Like, do not toy with me
Yeah.
if I'm going to be here. And God seen fit to bring me home early. And in January 2012, I got to come home on 4 years probation. And my probation officers told me, you got one mistake to make.
Yeah.
You'll go back and do
Saved
all your
and
time.
do the full time.
All the rest
Yeah.
of it, another 4 years, and that'll be flat time. And I decide then that there's something different. I have to tell other people about what I went through. There's a lot more families. Has to be, because, I mean, I don't realize that we're in the middle of this big epidemic with the pills and all these things. There's pill shops in Portsmouth, and
Yeah.
I mean, people are making the trips to Florida, and I come home, and then I hit the ground running. I haven't stopped since.
No, you hadn't.
It has been amazing to see a family, my family, come back together again. There were situations that I have nieces and nephews that I would have to stand on the outside of gymnasiums and watch them participate in sports because they thought I was a monster, because they had no understanding why I would rip our family apart. And I would not make them go through what it took for them to have to look me in the eye and be around me again until I knew I was done doing dope. And I really didn't know I was done for the first year when I come home from prison.
Really?
I come home, was 12 days home. Mike had a massive heart attack and had to have a quadruple bypass. They sent
Welcome
him home.
home.
They sent him home with the biggest bottle of Percocets I'd
Oh
ever
my
seen in my life.
God.
I was like, oh my Jesus.
Oh.
He sent those to a family friend, and they would bring and he was scared to death to take the pills at that point. He was like, well, hell, if you got addicted.
Yeah, it could happen to anybody.
Exactly. So he was, and I was like, Mike, you just had open heart surgery. But we were able to start, putting our family back together and really remembering who we were and what our purpose was. Mike didn't tell anybody I went to prison. They thought I left him and moved away. So when I come back home, and then he has to tell, I remember I was at his house when
Yeah.
I didn't live with him when I first came home from prison, and because I was living at my mom's, because I done screwed him up. He was not trying to go down that road again.
Yeah.
And I hear him talking on the front porch to this guy, his friend Zach, and I hear him telling Zach, my wife's in there, and Zach's like, your wife? You're married? And he was like, yeah, she's been in prison. Hey, Kat, come out here for a minute. And I walk out there.
God.
And Mike
That
tells
sounds
him,
like something
it
he'd
was
say.
hilarious. It was funny. And Zach's like, you're Mike's wife? I'm like, I know. It's a long story, dude. Like, been married for 20-some years. But we decided that we're going to kind of do something different with our life. And I start working at a treatment facility. It was called Spectrum Outreach. And it was the same one I got arrested from. I was in group when they arrested me. So the owner there, Bob Vinson, I beat him down. I called him every day for a job. Please give me, there's this group of people I can work well with, and it's people that's been to prison and people that's been on drugs. They're like me. And finally, he was like, okay, Kathy, I'll give you a part-time job working as a house monitor on evenings and weekends.
What made you want to do that?
No one ever reached. I had no idea what any of that was. I mean, I did not know there was help. I had no idea that there was recovery. I didn't even know addiction was a thing. And I was a nurse. I went to school. They never told you how to fend off the possibility of getting addicted to the medications you're taking. Never had one class on that.
Right.
And I just promised myself, and I met a lot of good women in prison. I promised them, if I stay sober and go home, it's not going to be in vain. Like, we're going to do something, because my community has to know about this. Like, there's people that have to know that we're not so broken that we can't be fixed. And that starts this lifelong process of, I want to open a treatment agency. I still get emotional about it, because I never thought that my family would trust me to even let me be in their houses alone, let alone leave their jobs and pour everything they have into helping people like me. I didn't think that was a possibility. I never knew that there was so much selfless love in anyone. But that's what happened. I talked to Mike, and he'd been working at this place for 20 years, and I talked to Donna, and she'd been working at a foster care agency, and I was like, guys, listen, like, we have helped so many people get into treatment right now. Our family needs to do this. And so they did. They just quit their jobs, and we sunk everything we had and trying to do this thing. And 5 years later, we have 90 employees. We have approximately 60 beds for men and women. We just found out today that we got our driver's intervention program for DUI offenders. We got certified for that. We have a huge outpatient following, and it's an abstinent-based program. And we don't sell anybody short. And I don't care if you can pay, if you can't pay. I will put you in my car and drive you wherever you need to go.
Elvis right here, right here.
It's just amazing to me that it just takes one person that cares this much. And I tell them, I'm like, if you want it, you just got to show me an inch, and I'll run a mile for you.
Yeah.
But if you can't give me an inch, then if you don't want it, I can't make you want it.
How many people's been through the program since y'all have opened there? Any idea?
I'm gonna say probably 300, maybe more than that.
Do you ever like sit back, and I know you're going to say no. I can imagine, because I feel like I know you somewhat. Do you ever sit back and just think all the lives that you've saved? I'm not talking about the lives that you've touched. I'm talking about the lives that you've saved. This young lady we had on the last episode, you had a part in saving her life, not just her job or her sanity.
Mm-hmm.
You save lives with your story and with your heart more than anything. See, I'm privileged. I'm privileged because like I see what goes on
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell people all the time, unless those people, unless Kathy Ross has got me fooled,
Yeah.
I see what goes on behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes. I see the sentiment
Mm-hmm.
of your heart. I see the sentiment of those employees that you employ. When you sit down with a chalkboard on Monday mornings and there's 110 names on a board and you go, Johnny B, what's he doing? How much money's he got saved up? Is he working? How about Sandy? How's she? I mean, and this takes a few hours to
Mm-hmm.
do every Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that don't have to be done, but
Right.
you do it because you care.
Mm-hmm.
And I've saw everybody that I've talked to, uh, how they feel about you and what you've done, and what you went through is absolutely 100% not in vain. I can promise you. Some people used to ask me all the time, if you had to live your life over again, would you do it differently? And it took me a long time to really understand, would I do it differently? And then one day I figured out, no, because see, if I'd have done it differently, then I might not have been able to help
Mm-hmm.
somebody with my story. If I had a
Right.
clean slate, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know that life would have been no fun.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to go to prison? Hell no. I'm
Mm-mm.
sure. Did you want to become a drug addict?
Mm-mm.
Who does?
Yeah.
But you have to find a way to salvage
Mm-hmm.
what time God has, and look what you have created.
It's amazing, but you think about that, and I think about the one that we lost, and I
I
think about
know.
the ones that we lost, and then that is the reason you get up and go tomorrow because you're like, man, like what if we would have done this, or maybe did we try this, or maybe we should do this, and you think about the families out there that don't get the opportunities, and we talk about survivors' remorse and guilt,
Oh
and
yeah.
oh God, it ravishes
Oh
me
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm different. I don't know why I was able to do.
Oh, I do. I think I
Yeah,
can answer that pretty
is
easily
it?
because people need you. They
It's
really do.
amazing.
That's why that's why you were saved. Like God had much bigger plans for Kathy Ross than you just
Mm-hmm.
becoming a big pill addict and ended
Mm-hmm.
up 25 years in prison, lose your Mike and your sons
Mm-hmm.
and all that. He had a plan for you the whole time. I'm not Joel Osteen and I'm not a big pastor or a preacher or anything, but I do know your heart,
Mm-hmm.
and and you're doing what the Lord called you to do. I can tell you that. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I appreciate
nursing,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a whole different world. And I'm going to end this thing with
Mm-hmm.
this, and I have thought about this a million times, and I know you're going to laugh or you're going to say something weird, but I told a man the other day, I said, if I had $1 million in the bank, if I had $1 million, I'd hand it to Kathy Ross because I know what would be done with my $1 million, and it would be to save as many lives as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a testament to you,
Thank you.
your family.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I said, I'm privileged, to watch what happens and
Mm-hmm.
roam the halls. Hell, I'm worthless a lot of while I'm there most of the time. But I am privileged to know you, and I'm privileged to watch you
Appreciate it.
work. I'm privileged to know your heart, and that's why you were saved, chick.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt,
Well, I
is to
appreciate
continue
that.
to save others.
Well,
You
thank
got
you.
it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I
I
mean that.
appreciate it.
You're unbelievable.
Thank you.
There's rock stars in rock and roll music. There's rock stars in country music. There's rock stars in you name it. This chick right here is a 100% rock star in the recovery world. She'll never accept that title,
Mm-hmm.
but you are one. And the lives that you've changed and the lives you'll continue to change, I'm blessed to be a tiny, minute piece of it. And thank you for allowing me to do it.
Thank you.
Got it?
Yes.
My co-host in crime right here. Listen, we always say, if you don't get help at Lawrence County Recovery, hell, get help somewhere.
Anywhere.
We care less. Our goal, I know their goal. I can speak for Kathy and Donna and Mike and Jamie and everybody. It'd be nice to shut that place down.
Love it.
Turn it back into a newspaper building or something.
Please.
We'll all go on a cruise somewhere and everybody is healed. But we got a
We'll be
lot of work
happy.
left to do, and it's good to know that there's people like this young lady that's out there working on the streets on your behalf. So y'all share alike. God bless you, chick. Love you.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're out of here.